As of today, a new Louisiana law requires all Louisiana public elementary, secondary, and post-secondary schools to display the nation's motto, "In God We Trust," in every classroom on campus.
And the law passed this summer and requires the poster or frame document must be at least 11 by 14 inches. And the motto has to be the central focus and printed in a large, easy-to-read font. The ACLU of Louisiana says educators already have enough on their plates.
It's bills like this that are really kind of, I think, distracting them from fulfilling their core mission, which is making sure that children receive the top-notch education that they deserve.
State Representative Dodie Horton, who authored this new law, says the motto is an important part of American history. The new law gives schools the option to spend public dollars, donated funds, or accept donated displays.